Shalom, Kol Halal, Yahweh, Bahasham, Yahweh Shai, Bahasham, Rakaha, Kwadash. Double honors into the apostles, double honors into the elder bishops. Salutations to all my fellow laborers doing this work in truth and sincerity, risking their lives and their freedom to do so, now more so than ever. To the scattered elect that are scattered around the four corners of the earth, that be like unto the speckled bird, the Israelite foreigners, among the heathen that look like those heathen. This is not a black thing, right? And to the few Akwaf that are listening and learning, to you I say shalom. This is your brother Malcolm from the branch of the Great Millstone here in Chicago, coming at you with another lesson in truth. And I'm not going to say anything medically, all right? Got to be careful with your words, with the algorithm. But I will say this. I'll let the scriptures speak. This is 1 Timothy 6:20. And it reads, O Timothy, keep that which was committed to thy trust, avoiding profane and vain babblings and oppositions of science falsely so called. So, we were warned in the Bible by Timothy that there will come a time when people would use pseudoscience, false science, fake science, all right, falsely so-called, in order to get around the laws of heaven, the laws of the Lord, the laws of the land, all right, and for profit, all right, they literally are doing it for profit, which brings to mind 1 Timothy 6:5. Perverse disputings of men of corrupt minds and destitute of truth, supposing that gain is godliness, from such men withdraw yourselves. All right. So, or to withdraw thyself. All right. So you had, people that were doing things that were not necessarily for the health and welfare of the people, but fraudulently push those things as if they were all to make profit.
The Food and Drug Administration is about to be flipped on its head. Instead of partnering with big pharma and keeping healthy supplements off store shelves, it looks like they are about to be flipped upside down now that Robert F. Kennedy Jr. is going to be heading up the FDA, the CDC, and all of America's health system. He tweeted this right after President Trump announced that he would head up the HHS. FDA's war on public health is about to end. This includes its aggressive suppression of psychedelics, peptides, stem cells, raw milk, hyperbaric therapies. I mean, some of this stuff I can't even pronounce, on and on and on. And he says anything else that advances human health and can't be patented by big pharma. If you work for the FDA and are part of this corrupt system, I have two messages for you. Number one, preserve your records. And number two, pack your bags. Well, friend of the show, Antonio Calamares, is from Black Forest Supplements. And of course, we've been watching his battle. He's been battling the FDA for the past couple of years because they've been trying to turn some of his natural supplements into a drug classification so big pharma can try to make a lot of money off of this.
So that's what it's all about. What they go to show you, they really don't care about the health of the people. You have individuals that all they care about is money. And then, with control of the media and social media, they were able to sway the people and demonize the people who could see this clearly. All right. This is Sirach 14 and 5. And it reads, he that is evil to himself, to whom will he be good? He shall not take pleasure in his own goods. All right. So, because you best believe the people that were pushing the pseudoscience alternative, they weren't taking those alternatives, but they were pushing them on the public, though. All right. And to the harm of many of their own people and family members. All right. This is what they did. And then anyone who tried to stand on, anyone who tried to stand up for themselves against this was demonized deeply. and harshly rebuked, both by the mainstream media, by social media. You know, families were broken up. People lost their fortunes. They lost their, people lost their businesses, their jobs. This is Leviticus 19:13. Thou shalt not defraud thy neighbor, neither rob him. The wages of him that is hired shall not abide with thee all night until the morning. All right. So, you're actually supposed to pay a person for the wages that they earned that day. All right. And as a matter of fact, if they did that in America, people would always have a little something every day. All right. Instead of have to wait, weeks and weeks at a time. And the reason they do that is because of the very corrupt system that they use, a fractional reserve, way that the fractional reserve currency that they use is that money is not really there. So, so they have to wait because they're using your money within their system to do their own things. They have to wait until everything that they've done is cleared before they get you your money. Meanwhile, you have to struggle in between, especially for someone who's actually living paycheck to paycheck, which is the average American. The average American doesn't have a savings account. The average American literally is living paycheck to paycheck. And we're talking about people with degrees. All right. You got people with degrees that are living paycheck to paycheck. All right. So they did all these things that they were told to do or are supposed to do, and yet they're still coming out, on the short end of the stick. All right. I got a former client of mine who's been a millionaire twice and lost it twice, and trying to figure out, what he did wrong. Well, he didn't do anything wrong. He just got, he was a victim of Sirach 14:5. He that is evil unto himself, to whom shall he do good? That's why this nation is so divided.
And we wanted to invite Antonio back on the show now that this news has dropped to get your take on what this means for you and the future of the healthcare industry in the country. Antonio, great to see you. Welcome back to the show.
Clayton, thank you. Pleasure being here. And I couldn't be happier. I think the American public chose the right candidate, and I'm super happy with the RFK nomination as well.
So
and I'm messing with that speed racer pitch on the wall behind my man too. That's for those of you who are old enough to remember Speed Racer. But go ahead.
So our audience understands this, and you guys have been a longtime supporter of what we've done here on Redacted for a number of years, and you have a product called NMN, and basically the FDA was going after you guys, and you guys aren't alone. Like, we featured other individuals that the FDA is going after, natural companies we featured here on the show, that the FDA is trying to change your classification. Can you explain to our audience what, first of all, the product does, and why was the FDA going after you?
Yeah, I think that the FDA actively suppresses anything that could be beneficial for human health and can be patented by Big Pharma. The reason for this is, as I talked about it earlier on the show last time I was here, they're in bed with the big pharmaceutical companies that they're supposed to be regulating. I'll throw out just a stat so people get an idea. Every single FDA commissioner, ever since 2000, after his FDA tenure, has gone on to become either a consultant or work for a big pharmaceutical company, every single one. So what happened with NMN is that they're trying to create the first prescription anti-aging drug. And they were looking for, okay, what could be this anti-aging compound that's strong enough to be classified as a drug. So they came after our star product, which is NMN. Quite quickly, I'll mention how it works. NMN is an NAD plus precursor, and NAD plus is something that we have in our blood that slows down as we age. As we age, we have less NAD plus. And what Harvard researchers found was that by supplementing NMN, one can keep our NAD plus levels in our blood high, and that would lead us to age more gracefully, have more energy, reduce weight, cholesterol. And for over 2 years now, as you mentioned, we've been fighting a class action suit against Big Pharma. We partnered up alongside the NPA, the Natural Product Association, and because they were coming after NMN that was previously available as a supplement, and they were trying to turn it into a drug. And thankfully, I was 2 days after they announced the new administration.
Let me just stop him right there and go get a grab a scripture, because they're trying to take what's natural. Because what this man did was he got natural herbs that are grown from the earth, like the Lord, in the scriptures it tells you that he gave us the herbs, for our healing, and because they were meat, they were for us to eat and heal ourselves. And he's putting different compounds together that actually come from the earth, that comes from the Father, all right, ultimately. And they're trying to patent it, and then they throw a couple chemicals in it, and now they sell it as a drug. They don't want you to heal naturally, Then this is what the lawsuit is about. This is Job 13:4, and it says, "But ye are forgers of lies, ye are all physicians of no value." So many of these, doctors broke their vows, dishonored the oath that they took for profit. A good portion of them. And the doctors that tried to honor their oaths were demonized, demonetized, had their licenses taken, basically have their wages and their way of life taken. And that's, there's so many people, and as a result of this, all the businesses and things that were shut down, and it was really a really bad time, which America still hasn't recovered from it. And at the same time, America hasn't recovered from that. They still keep, sending money everywhere else but to Americans.
I'm pretty sure it had something to do with that. But the court ruled that the FDA was unfairly enforcing its rule against NMN products. And until the suit, until the case gets settled, they can't come after companies that are selling NMN. So I think that is a huge win for the American people. And I think that it's a huge win for letting the American people choose what's best for their health without Big Pharma being the middleman.
I'm sure you probably deal with a lot of other health companies that are in the similar situation, that have healthy supplements that the FDA is trying to regulate, trying to get their hands on in order to profit, and that Big Pharma can then make their own drug version of it and make billions of dollars off of it. What do you think this means more broadly for the supplement industry, for people that want to get some of these healthy products in their life?
What I love about the new administration is that they advocate for health freedom. Why is this important? It's because if we don't have health freedom, we're just going to see COVID 2.0 over and over again. We saw what they did there. They suppressed anything that could potentially help people, and they labeled it as misinformation or pseudoscience. Wow. Or they labeled people as anti-vax.
So you had pseudoscience labeling actual science as pseudoscience. That's that 1 Timothy 6:20. All right.
Rather than seeing the data, studying what could be best and most affordable in order to treat the disease, the only real solution was that the one they invented, they had patented, and they were going to make the most money off of. And I think even now there's drugs that they recommend to treat.
I once saw a meme that had the face of Kill Gates on it, and it said something to the effect, trying to remember exactly how it was worded, but it said, what if we and it said, what if we sent out computer viruses to all the computers, and then we sold the virus software? So just think about it. That was just a meme that I saw. And it's funny how, where did these computer viruses come from? How does a computer, because, typically when I'm watching movies, someone has to create the virus, to destroy someone else's network or system, or to invade, to get inside of it. Viruses just don't appear. As far as that's, for every movie, everything, every time I watched, and I watch, I'm a big fan of the Ethan, what's the character that Tom Cruise plays with the big black dude, Ving Rhames, the Mission Impossible movies. All right. And almost every Mission Impossible movie, there's a computer virus. All right. None of the viruses just spring up. It's always some geek in glasses that creates it. Just saying. Just saying.
Treat COVID like Paxlovid, and that is a 5-day prescription, which they charge 1.6K for. So you're telling me that you're trying to make as many people as healthy as you can, and you charge 1.6K for a 5-day prescription?
Wow.
So the flip side of this is not having health freedom, leaving everything in the hands of big pharma, and getting crazy prescription prices like the one I just mentioned, rather than being informed, doing our own research, allowing the public to sort of dictate what's best for their health, and really finding those hidden solutions that don't have that big pharma paywall behind them. So that would be the flip side.
You bring up a great point. I mean, as it relates to COVID, I mean, they mocked people like President Trump for hydroxychloroquine. These were, by the way, you can't make any money off of them, right? So that's the thing, right? That's how big pharma can't. They don't want this promoted because you can't make money off of ivermectin. You can't make money off of hydroxychloroquine. And of course, Dr. Peter McCullough, a good friend of the show, this was a protocol that he was finding great results with his patients in Texas. And big pharma stepped in and censored it. And if we even mentioned those words on YouTube or, on social media, you were blocked.
Yep.
You were banned. Like, that's how big pharma is, that they managed to get them to.
Or you were demonetized and your businesses were shut down if you spoke up against it. I got so many strikes and so many deletions during that time than ever before. All right. Especially if you provided evidence, against the lies that were being pushed. They would delete your video or block your video and strike your channel.
To censor people talking about ivermectin, Jimmy Kimmel making fun of it, calling it horse paste, on television, and they have, their tentacles are far and wide, so we couldn't even do stories about that stuff here. That's how deeply.
Meanwhile, the thing that they were pushing were giving teenagers and little kids, myocarditis and heart attacks on soccer fields and basketball courts and football fields, around the world. Healthy college athletes, young athletes collapsing all over the place from what they were pushing, no names mentioned.
Corrupt these people are.
And you mentioned television. I think that 80% of the revenues from the mainstream media actually come from drug advertisements. So
there it is.
Mainstream media, you can't really trust anything when it comes to making informed decisions about your health. Independent media, it's another thing, but you saw they could also control that with labeling it as misinformation. Mark Zuckerberg came out admitting that he was actively suppressing things because the FBI or the government told them to do so.
Exactly. It goes to show you really don't have freedom. You're under control. And truth is not optional when it comes to this government making money. All right. And they destroyed a lot of people and a lot of people's way of life, including people who actually made money on the internet. All right. Businesses shut down. This is Ecclesiastes 34:21. This says, the bread of the needy is their life. He that defraudeth him, therefore, is a man of blood. All right. He that taketh away his neighbor's living slayeth him. And he that defraudeth a laborer of his hire is a bloodshedder. So when you using, codes and statutes to defraud people of their money that go against the law of the land, when you're using codes and statutes that defraud people of their money because they openly speak out against the tyranny that was being forced upon them and their family, their friends, their neighbors, their countrymen. You are holding back their wages, and you basically you slave them, you kill them. And this is and as a result, look at how divided still. This played a big role in the division. You got families and friends and marriages that were utterly destroyed behind this. And it all turned out to be, not true. All right. And it turned out, once again, with that, I'm not saying anything medically, not mentioning any names about any medical procedures or anything, but it did turn out that the cure did more damage than the actual disease. And they falsified and played with numbers and statistics and said otherwise. This is Malachi 3 and 5. And it reads, and I will come near to you, and I will come near to you judgment, and I will be a swift witness against the sorcerers, and against the adulterers, and against the false swearers, and against those that oppress the hireling in his wages, the widow and the fatherless, and turn aside the stranger from his right, and fear not me, saith Yahweh of hosts. So these people have not shown any fear to the Lord, as they have disrespected his law and his ways, all while claiming to be a Christian-based society full of Christians. So the wrath of the Lord is going to come down upon this place. All right? And it is as simple as that, man. So with that, I'm going to give all praises, all honor and glory unto Yahweh, Bahasham, Yahweh Shai, Bahasham, Rakaha Kwadash, Kwam Yasharala, and Abba Babal.